Hey, friends all over the world. Kanye West said in a recorded statement that his mother, Donda, was sacrificed. And I want to expose this tonight. You know, many of you have seen my videos. Many of you have heard about Kanye and what's going on, and there's different opinions about him. Some people think he's just having a psychotic break. Some people think he's going crazy. Some people think he's traumatized by the death of his mother. And I do believe that there could be a myriad of things going on. But I want to speak about the truth about evil altars. Evil altars. And I need you to hear this because this is very, very real. Kanye said, whether you like him or not, whether you believe him or not, he said out of his mouth in a very serendipitous turn of an interview or line of questioning, he says his mother was sacrificed. In fact, I watched a video of a comedian who actually said out of his mouth, he made a joke about the death of Kanye's mother. Made a joke about the death of Kanye's mother. This was something that was said in the media. And I want to tell you something. Evil altars are real. If you don't believe this, you don't understand that altars are real, because altars require sacrifice. Altars are places of devotion and places of visitation. And depending on the kind of altar it is, depending on the God the altar is erected to, determines what sacrifices are required. And I've been telling you, y'all don't hear what I'm saying. I've been telling you that these evil altars require servicing. And this is why we are seeing such premature death. We are seeing things that don't make any sense. In fact, I'll give an example. Jennifer Hudson had just become the American Idol. I don't know if she was American Idol or runner-up in the American Idol. I can't remember. But what happens is immediately after she won, her family members were brutally murdered in a home invasion. I don't know if you remember that. They were brutally murdered in a home invasion. Donda West, his mother, goes in for a breast augmentation surgery and dies on the operating table. And according to Kanye West, he says, my mother was sacrificed. And I think that there is a misunderstanding. People are mistaking the exposure of the demonic realm for just a mental break. No, I'm not saying there aren't any mental challenges there. I'm not saying that. But if you think this is just an issue of mental illness and you are not listening to what is actually being said and the level of exposure of the satanic realm, then you are misunderstanding what's taking place. You are not recognizing what has transpired and what is continuing to transpire. We just saw again, Aaron Carter, dead. We just saw again, another very, very famous rapper was killed at a bowling alley while they were at billiards and bowling in Houston. And there is a mysterious gunman that they spotted that comes up behind him and kills him. He is not even the aggressor. He is not even the one in the argument. And yet he is the one that is targeted and murdered. This stuff is, in the Western world, in the United States of America and other westernized countries, we don't talk about altars. We don't talk about sacrifices. We don't talk about the fact that when you want to service an altar, there must be a sacrifice. And oftentimes the sacrifice has to be something you love. It has to be something you treasure. It has to be something you value. And so we have a situation where Christians are oblivious to the spiritual world. They think because these conservative theologians are telling you it's all about reading scriptures, and I believe in reading the scriptures, but the scriptures talk about the spiritual world. You can't just talk about it's about apologetics, and you got conferences where these old men are sitting there, and these old men are just kind of sitting there and not just debating over Bible verses. And we think that is what the church is called to do, when in reality, the church is called to confront darkness. And this is why Jesus said, upon this rock, I will build my church. And we often forget where that comment was made in Matthew 16. Jesus made that declaration in the Pan, which was a demonic altar. Jesus makes the comment. He makes the bold declaration that upon this rock, I will build my church and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. He makes this bold declaration at one of the most demonic locations in the first century, the Temple of Pan, where all kinds of sacrifices were being made. And he was telling us then that, listen, if you're going to be the church, if the church is going to be the church cannot be ignorant. The church cannot be ignorant. The church cannot be ignorant of these spiritual realities, that there are altars. And some of you don't realize that the reason why your life is going the way that it's going is because there is an altar somewhere that needs to be confronted. There is an altar somewhere. When people want wealth, when they want success, when they want prosperity, when they want promotion, when they want fame, they seek an altar. They seek an altar, and they make sacrifices upon these altars. I'm telling you, I've said it before. When we talk about abortion in America is not a political issue. It's a spiritual issue. Abortion is child sacrifice. These are altars that are being serviced with the blood of unborn children. Altars that are being serviced with the blood of the unborn. And so we see that these altars are connected to the outcomes. If you go to these communities where Planned Parenthood and all of these organizations are stationed, and all of these places have been erected in urban communities, in poor areas, in disenfranchised communities, these are the places where these sacrifices are being made, and they are thriving on the poor and the ignorant. You saying, well, no, I don't believe nothing you say. It doesn't matter what you believe. Let me tell you something. Whether you agree with Kanye West or not, whether you like him or not, is totally irrelevant. The relevant issue is what he's saying correct? And in this regard, there is absolute truth to the fact that people are being sacrificed. Celebrities are being sacrificed. Children are being sacrificed. Leaders are being sacrificed in service to evil altars. And what is happening, you got to understand this. The power of a people is determined by the strength and the purity of their altar. And this is why even in the Bible, what did God do? Anytime God raised up a leader in Israel, he raised up a judge, raised up a prophet, raised up a king, the first thing he would tell them to do is tear down the high places. Go and tear down the Ashtar poles. Go and tear down the altars of Molech and the altars of Baal. Tear them down. Because if you don't tear them down, the devil will have a spiritual stronghold over the nation. He will have a spiritual stronghold over the people. And I believe, on a personal note, we need to pray for Kanye West. Not just judge him and criticize him and make fun of him. We need to pray for him, because what is actually happening in his pain and in his frustration, he is trying to expose realities that many of us don't understand. And so he sounds just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But in reality, the brother is trying to tell you things that you don't understand. When you get to the billionaire level, when you get to the celebrity status that he is at, there are things that people do that you can't even conceive of. There are actors that have come out and told us that before they could get the gig, before they could get that role, before they could get that contract, they had to do all kinds of evil and debased and all kinds of debauchery in order to get the success that they long for. And it's not just Kanye and Donda. It's Elvis. It's Michael Jackson. It's James Brown. It's Prince. And the list goes on and on. This can't be made up. This can't be a conspiracy theory. It can't. We have too many instances of this happening. You don't have to take Kanye's word for it. I told you about these. These are not random killings. These are not random accidents. These are not random incidents. These are deliberate sacrifices being made to service a demonic altar. And this is why we need to be prayed up. You got to share this video, people. We need to be prayed up. You said, what does it have to do with me? I'm not Kanye. I'm not a celebrity. No, you don't have to be a celebrity, friends. Look at the girl who goes to Mexico with her friends and for no apparent reason is beaten to death. Who goes to Mexico with their friends and the friends you go to Mexico with kill you? She was killed. She left her house and 24 hours later, her mother received a phone call that she was dead. Are you listening to what I'm telling you? She goes from Mexico and in 24 hours, she is dead unexplainably. What about the teenage girl in Mount Vernon, New York? The little teenage girl who's 16 years old and is stabbed in the neck and in the side by a 15-year-old girl. Do you think, okay, let me help you understand something. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I really want to help you understand this because you got to get this. First of all, let me break this down real quick and then I'm going to get off this live. The term star, when we say somebody's a star, somebody's a star. Oh, this person is a star. You're going to be a superstar. A superstar. The term superstar is not a modern invention. Hear me. I need you to hear this mystery that I'm about to give you. The term superstar is not a modern invention. The term superstar originates from thousands of years ago. In the ancient world, a person was referred to as a star who was believed to be a descendant from celestial bodies and had ethereal fluid flowing through their veins. These people were believed to possess supernatural influence or supernatural influenza. Go look this up. So when they call a person a star, they were not just talking about somebody who could sing or who could dance. They were talking about somebody that had occultic powers. Occultic powers. People that have tapped into the occultic realm. People who have tapped into the demonic realm. And this is what gains them influence and status and power. That's why you know 1,000 singers that can sing better than the best singer you have right now. There's 1,000 other singers who will never gain that status, even though they have more talent, they can dance better, they have more skills. But the difference is the altar. The altar. The altar. On the flip side of that is this. The reason why believers have spiritual power in the earth realm is because we serve the one and true God who, when he wanted to release power to his sons and daughters, he made the greatest sacrifice in the cosmos. According to John chapter 3, verse 16, he gave his only begotten son, and whoever believes in him would not perish, but have, watch this, everlasting life. That's why Jesus calls us lights of the world. He says in the book of Revelation, he talks about the 7 stars and the 7 candlesticks are the church. He calls the churches stars. Stars. Why? Because we do not have occultic power, but we have the real and only true power in the universe, which is the power of the true and living God through Jesus. And this is why, friends, we need to understand this. Our churches are not teaching spiritual things. We're giving you cookies and cakes and candy and popcorn, and we're telling you seeker-friendly sermons and motivational speeches, but we're not equipping you to understand the spiritual world that we live in. This is a spiritual world. And parents, when you are sending your children out, when your children are going out, when your children are going out and they are dealing with all these things and you sending them to go to different events and different towns and concerts, you need to cover them in the blood of Jesus. And you need to take authority over these demonic powers. Spirits of death are real. Look at what happened at the Travis Scott concert. And I did a viral video about that. You know, a portal was open and the spirit of death came into that concert and people began to die. Hundreds were injured. Why? Because these stages where these celebrities are performing are not stages. They are altars. That's why Beyonce says, when I get on the stage, a spirit enters in. She says a spirit enters into her and she becomes Tasha Fierce. Why? Because that stage is an altar. Have you ever wondered why in the music business or the entertainment business, they spend millions of dollars on sets, stage managers, lighting? They spend millions of dollars on the stage. During the Super Bowl, they spend millions and millions of dollars, not just on the singer or the dancer or the performer. They spend millions on the stage because that stage is not a stage. It is an altar being erected where that person is about to sacrifice their time, their talent, their energy, and their mind to release something into the atmosphere. And this is why the more they go higher, the more, and somebody needs to tag Kanye in this, because I really want to pray for this brother. I know a lot of people are saying he's an anti-Semite, he's going crazy, he's a racist, he's an elitist, he's this, he's that. This brother needs our prayer like never before. This brother needs our prayer like never before. Why? Because he is trying to expose things that it is not necessarily he does not necessarily have the coverage or the standing in the spiritual realm to expose it. And so he needs our prayers. He needs to be set free from the demonic spirits that are tormenting him. But I'm telling you right now, what the brother is saying about his mother being sacrificed, don't ignore this stuff. Don't just chop it up to somebody being crazy. Don't just chop it up to somebody having a mental breakdown. These things are real. Altars are real. Sacrifices are real. That's why in third world countries all over the world, when there's a campaign, people come up missing. Do y'all not remember? Do you not remember? People come up missing. People come up missing, not only in the third world, but here in the United States. When that sister was running for senator in the state of Georgia, what nobody talks about is the fact that her aide's boyfriend, she had an aide, an assistant, her boyfriend mysteriously died in a car accident during this campaign. The car exploded mysteriously. And stuff like this happens all the time, but the church is not talking about it because we're singing hymns, and there's nothing wrong with hymns, but we need to be talking about the spiritual world. That's why the Lord told me to create this resource called Releasing Miracles, because he told me that the church need to be prepared for the end times. And the end times, we can debate about the end times, whether you're a futurist or a preterist or a partial preterist. Those are theological terms about eschatology. It doesn't matter what your eschatological view is. Sorry, a little tongue twister. It doesn't matter what your eschatological view is. What matters is that you have eyes to see and ears to hear and recognize that the time we are living in is perilous, where good is being called evil and evil is being called good and light is being called darkness and darkness is being called light. And there's confusion in the earth today. And we need a remnant of believers who will pray. This is the time to shore up your relationship with God. If you're not right with the Lord, you need to get right with God. If you don't know Jesus, you need to ask him into your heart right now. That's what they're trying to tell you. This brother has made so many compromises and he's trying to get free. He needs help. But these evil altars are real. And that's why I declare right now that every evil altar that has been arresting your family, your marriage, come on, pray with me, your children, your finances, your relationships, your church, your business, and any other thing that touches your life. In the name of Jesus, we speak the fire of God to consume every evil altar, that every evil altar that is resisting your destiny is burnt to ashes, and that your life will not be comprised of you sacrificing on altars. But according to Romans chapter 12, beginning with verse 1, I beseech you, brethren, that you present your body a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Friends, I'm telling you, it's time for us to release the miraculous. It's time for us to walk in the supernatural power of God. And it's time for us to educate the church on what's really going on in the spiritual realm and in the earth. God bless you. And remember, Jesus is Lord.